Before we get started, please go over to Amazon.com and grab a copy of my book, Education and Justice. If you have an African-American son in public school, you need this book because I teach you the many ways that public schools mistreat African-American boys and what you can do to help your son. So go over there and get your copy immediately. So the 2025 NFL draft is over. But what's not over is this one big question, this huge question. Why did Shedeur Sanders fall to the 144th pick in the 5th round of the NFL draft when he should have been the first pick in the first round? That question is still lingering in the minds of a lot of people, including mine. I want to know. You know what? I already know. And I'm going to tell you why that happened. I'm going to tell you exactly why that happened. All right, so let's talk about it. And let's have a frank discussion. Or in this case, a frank monologue. It'll just be me talking. All right? The NFL has a long, ugly history of racial bias, especially when it comes to confident, successful black men who refuse to fit the script. After all, this is the same NFL that spent decades blackballing black quarterbacks, claiming they weren't smart enough to lead. It's the same NFL where few black men are allowed to be head coaches, although 70-something% of the players are black. And it's also where not a single black majority owner exists across the entire NFL league. We're talking about the same NFL that was caught using race norming, an extremely racist practice of automatically assuming black players have lower cognitive ability when deciding who deserve concussion settlement money. White America and the power structure of this country, the power structure behind the NFL, the power structure behind MAGA and so forth, is much more comfortable with thuggish acting black men because, why? They fit the narrative. They are much more comfortable with submissive black men. Why? Because they don't challenge the system. Thus, they're no threat to white supremacy. They're much more comfortable with sellouts because those sellouts embrace and support white supremacy, those MAGA men. But there are two types of black men that white America despises and fears. First, of course, they despise black men who fight against white supremacy. Men like MLK, Malcolm, the Black Panthers, and many more. But they also hate, fear, and despise rich, smart, confident, outspoken, unapologetic, bold black men like Deion and Shedeur, who don't ask for permission to be themselves, to be their authentic black selves. That's a threat to them. They consider that a threat to deal with black men like that. That's why Muhammad Ali made them uncomfortable. That's why Jack Johnson made them uncomfortable. That's why Deion Sanders make them so uncomfortable. And that's why Shedeur Sanders was pushed down the board all the way to the 5th round. Every NFL team did not select him, even those teams that needed quarterbacks, like my team, the Steelers. Yes, even Mike Tomlin, a black head coach, didn't draft Shedeur, even though we, Pittsburgh Steelers fans, desperately need a quarterback. And that ought to tell you everything. His drop in the draft wasn't at all related to coaching decisions, football decisions, not at all. It was personal. The white owners, the white GMs, black GMs who control these franchises, who shape who gets a real shot and who doesn't, it was all about personal dislike of this outspoken, bold African-American man and his father. It was still weird, though, for the Steelers especially, because, again, they not only need a quarterback, but they also developed the Rooney Rule. And yes, Donald Trump chimed in. He praised Shedeur and his father and questioned why Shedeur hadn't been drafted. But not because he respects Shedeur or Deion or black excellence, but because Trump is always trying to deceive black male voters. Always. Pretending he's for black people, for black men. But his policies tell the truth. And his actions have always been a disaster for the black community. After all, Trump is the same man who attacked and called Colin Kaepernick an SOB for peacefully standing up against police brutality. This is the same man whose administrations, both the first one and now the second one, have been filled with attacks on civil rights, voting rights, fair housing, economic protections for the black community. Same man. Don't be fooled by this fake praise. Now, let's talk about the father of this whole thing, the father of Shedeur Sanders, Deion Sanders, better known as Prime Time and Coach Prime. I love the dude. Some of the hate that Shedeur is dealing with was really targeted at his father. Deion is one of the greatest and most electrifying athletes in American sports history. The greatest cornerback to ever suit up. Straight up. He starred at Florida State University in football, baseball, track, and basketball. The dude just straight up is a tremendous athlete. And he became a first-round NFL draft pick and a Major League Baseball player, one of the few people to compete at the highest level in two professional sports. Of course, there's also Bo Jackson. Deion is a Hall of Famer, a two-time Super Bowl champion, and the only athlete to play in both a Super Bowl and a World Series. But his greatness really goes well beyond the field. He founded the Prime Prep Academy in South Dallas to give educational and athletic opportunities to underserved youth. Since I live here in the DFW area, I saw up close Deion's love for inner city kids and his love of giving back to the community. I respect and love the dude. Now, today, of course, he leads the University of Colorado football program, and he is inspiring a new generation both on and off the field, right? And he has turned that program around. And a lot of his players were drafted in this draft. I'm so excited for them. Now, before he got to Colorado, we know that he also turned around the Jackson State football program and HBCU. But his greatest pride and accomplishment really is his family. I believe he has, 5 children, the 2 oldest, and then Shedeur, Shiloh, and the youngest daughter. And they are all successful. They're disciplined. They're building their own legacies. They've had no serious brushes with the law, right? They are good kids, and that speaks a lot of Deion and, of course, their mothers. Now, to truly appreciate Shedeur, and I'm not leaving out the rest because they're all accomplished kids. They're all doing well. But since this was about Shedeur, to really see that this had nothing absolutely to do with football, it was personal. I want to take a look at some of Shedeur's statistics, and I wrote them down so that I don't get them wrong. Let's start with Jackson State University, the 2021-2022 season. In the 2021 season at Jackson State, he received the Jerry Rice Award. He was awarded the top freshman in all of FCS football, and the source of that is NCAA.com. He passed for 3,231 yards, 30 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. He led Jackson State to an 11-2 record in a SWAC championship. Okay? And keep in mind, Shedeur was heavily recruited by top universities, including Alabama. His 2022 season, he passed for 3,732 yards, improving on his 2021 season. 40 touchdowns and only 6 interceptions. He won SWAC Offensive Player of the Year. I got that from the undefeated ESPN. He led Jackson State to an undefeated regular season and a second straight SWAC title. This man on the screen, Shedeur Sanders, what in the world is he doing at the bottom, almost complete bottom of the draft, the 5th round? So anyway, him and his family relocated to Colorado. And over both of those seasons, here are his accomplishments. He won their single-season passing record. He threw for 3,230 yards and 27 touchdowns with only 3 interceptions, despite having a very weak offensive line. We all remember that. Threw for 510 yards, 4 touchdowns against TCU in his Colorado debut, setting a new Colorado school record. First Colorado quarterback to pass for over 500 yards in a single game, completed 69.3 of his passes in 2023. All right, and that's among the top in the nation. Finished top 10 nationally in passing yards per game during the 2023 season. Finalist for the Manning Award in 2023. Big 12 Offensive Player of the Week in 2023. Projected early Heisman. Do you remember he was in the running for the Heisman? During the first half of the 2023, of course, the Heisman went to another Colorado Buff standout, Travis Hunter. All right. Total college career numbers, over 11,000 passing yards, over 100 career passing touchdowns, career completion percentage over 70%, one of the highest career rates among college quarterbacks. I must ask once again, what in the world was this young man doing in the 5th round and the 144th pick? He should have went first. But I told you why. I told you why. They wanted to teach him a lesson, and his father. Why? Because they are black men who are unapologetic, outspoken, bold. You remember how he used to flash his watch? I mean, that's just oftentimes just being black. If you play sports, I played sports all of my life. I played sports until I was in my upper 40s. And if you go on the playground, you know how that is. We talk smack, we talk junk, we're flashy, and so on. That's just too much for a lot of white America. They just don't like it. Well, whether they like it or not, some of us black brothers, we're not going to change just because they don't like it. Right? So despite Shedeur's impressive credentials, he was selected again in the 5th round. I mean, the 5th round. 5th round. Not first, not second. 5th round. I can't believe it except for the fact that I know white America. And I know the NFL. I know it's a racist, white supremacist organization. So he didn't fall in the draft because of a lack of talent and accomplishments. He fell because, again, the league wrongly perceived him as an uppity you-know-what that it could not control. And so they're trying to make him bow. But like his father, Shedeur's story is far from over. He's just getting started. He's just beginning. And now he has something to prove. Now he got something to drive him every time he hits the football field or the weight room, whatever he does in his routine to be the best quarterback ever, perhaps. That's what I'm hoping for him. I just love the family. And the NFL will have no choice but to recognize what they tried so hard to ignore and break. So, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching this video. Please help me share it, get it out. I think there are some valuable lessons here about what we're dealing with, even on the sports field or the basketball court, whatever. All right? So I'm Reverend and Civil Rights Attorney Augustus Corbett. Always remember, stay woke.